Mr. Van here for day 18 and the cooldown called Carnival Functions. So let's talk key concepts. It's helpful to interpret the inverse of a function in terms of a situation and the quantities it represents. Suppose a linear function gives the dollar cost, C, there should only be one of those there, sorry, of renting some equipment for N hours, only one N again, sorry. The function is defined by this equation. What this tells us is that we have some sort of starting fee, and then it's $8.25 an hour after that. Now, what we want to do is we want to find the inverse. Over here, if we put in a number of hours, it gives us the cost. So cost is a function of the number of hours. Hours go in, cost comes out. If we know the cost, what we can do though is we can take our equation, solve it for n, and what happens then is our number of hours becomes a function of the cost. We put in a certain cost, and then it tells us how many hours we rented it for. And the way that you do that is you just take the equation and you solve it for the other variable. So here we had c by itself. We want to end up with n by itself. Now the interesting thing about this is when you go through and you solve for the other variable, you end up doing the exact opposite of what your original equation, original function was doing. So one way we can think about this too is if you look at our original equation, the first thing we're doing is we're multiplying by 8.25, and then we're adding 30. To find the inverse, we can actually just go backwards in these steps and do the exact opposite. So instead of adding 30 at the end, I'm going to start by subtracting 30 from my cost, which is what we see right here. And then second, dividing by 8.25, which is what you see here. So the equation defining the inverse function is found by reversing the process that defines the original linear function. So again, original rule tells us to multiply the input n by 8.25 and add 30. This down here, we subtract 30 first and then divide by 8.25. Again, we're doing these steps right here, backwards and opposite. So let's take a look at the cooldown, Carnival Functions. So admission to a carnival costs $5. Tickets for games at the carnival costs $2 each. The equation C equals 5 plus 2t defines a function in this situation. What does the function represent? Well, cost, C, tickets, T. There's some relationship between the cost of the carnival and the number of tickets you buy. And actually up here we'd say cost is a function of number of tickets. Now the inverse function, which they did something with down here, well, is that the inverse of the original equation? Not sure. Think about it. I don't know if there's anything else I really need to help with without giving too much away. The inverse of this function, well, again, up here, cost is like a function of the number of tickets. You put in the tickets, you get the cost. The inverse flips that relationship. I hope this helps. It might not, but this is a tough one to try to give guidance on without giving you all the answers. Let me know if you have any more other questions.